Hi there, welcome to today's video. I'm setting up my bullet journal for 2026 and I decided I would use my subscription box from Archer and Olive. Now this box was gifted to me, I just did want to put that out there. But with that said, I've been getting the sub boxes since the beginning of the sub boxes. And I think this has been my absolutely most favorite one. A lot of the times I won't use my sub boxes. I will leave them intact as collector's items to collect dust and just sit there for all of eternity. I've been trying to be better about actually using my stuff so that when I saw the sub box, I absolutely loved it and I knew I was going to use it for my 2026 bullet journal setup. So far you've seen a quick unboxing of the sub box. There are 2 items missing. The duotone dot markers, and you'll see them later when I use them in the setup, and then the craft knife, which again you'll see later when I use it in the setup. And I was trying to decide how I was going to use the stickers. If you've watched my videos before, you'll know I'm not a big sticker person. I will either design them myself or use very specific ones. So I did something else for this setup. Not so much using the stickers, but you'll see what I did to incorporate the colors. I got my color palette from the duotone dot markers, which again, you'll see them shortly and you'll get a sense of the color palette that I used. But with every journal that I start, the very first thing I do is put my name in it. I feel that kind of takes away the nerves from starting a new journal and being afraid not to mess up in the new journal. So putting my name in it is a very important first step in my mind and for my process. The next step for me to feel more comfortable starting a new journal is to do a future log. And that remains the same in every new bullet journal that I set up, especially for my everyday bullet journal planning. I always set up a future log. And I've had these stamps now for quite a while and I thought it would be fun to use them. Now, pro tip, if you're going to use a stamp set, maybe practice with it before you stamp into your journal like I did. I did not stamp these correctly. I hated how they looked. And so I grabbed a piece of paper out of my old bullet journal, stuck it over top and carried on. So never mind being nervous about messing up in my new journal. It was pretty much the first thing I did in this journal was mess up. So if this is an omen for 2026, you know what? Bring it on. I've got spare paper. I'll just glue stuff over it. Hopefully the problems are easy enough that I can just glue stuff over it, but I digress. That's a different... We'll see what 2026 brings. Before I glue my paper down, I thought I would just use a little bit of whiteout and some white paint pen just to clear out some of the pieces that I knew was going to stick out. So here, for example, I'm using some whiteout. And then because I had bent the paper to use the whiteout, I grabbed some invisible tape just to stick down those edges so they wouldn't keep popping up and or be folded and bent when I'm using my journal throughout the year. The invisible tape is just from the dollar store. Honestly, it worked really well. And so now I permanently have invisible tape as part of my arsenal of craft supplies. So since the old stamp set didn't quite work out for me, I grabbed an oldie but a goodie. I believe this one's from Studio Calico. I've used this one quite a bit for my bullet journal setups. I have misplaced my ultimate favorite stamp set. I've been working on a stamp organization system, and somewhere along the line, I misplaced my ultimate favorite stamp set, and I have no idea where it is, and it's driving me crazy. And of course, the stamp organization project is on hold right now just because I've been busy getting ready for the holidays, and now I'm getting ready for whatever 2026 is throwing my way. But I do need to find that stamp set because I love it so much. So I stamp out my title, which is Future Log, and then I grabbed a smaller alphabet stamp set. This one is from Studio L2E, and I am stamping the months. And I know it looks funny, but in order to center the month with the calendar, I start with the middle letter. So I'll stamp down the middle letter first, and then I'll build the word around that middle letter. So I just used abbreviations for the months of the year. And by the time I stamp my calendar in, you will see that it lines up quite well. You can't see, but there are pencil lines on my page, which helps determine where the middle is. And of course, I dropped the stamp, which made a mark on my page, and I just grabbed some extra paper from my previous mistake and just glued that over top. And you will see now too, I glued over another calendar because I messed up the calendar there as well. The stamps that I have has calendars 1 through 30 and 1 through 31. So whenever I do February, I just have to white out or use a paint pen to get rid of the extra days of the month, considering February only goes to the 28th or the 29th of the month. I don't think I've ever managed to do a complete future log without messing up the calendar dates somehow. As you can see, I just grabbed my phone to triple check that I had the right calendars under the right months. It's just something in me where I get overconfident and I go with what the previous month was. And sometimes that's not always right. So that's why you just glue paper over top of it. So I'm adding the washi tape to the edge of this page. This is the piece that's going to stick out underneath my tabs. I've talked about it in a previous video where I kind of like that you have that little pop of color coming through the tabs when the tabs are resting down. And so I just chose my favorite washi, which is that blue washi with the florals, and stuck that down on the page edge and cut it to size. There was a glimpse of my title page for my notebook. Every time I set up a new bullet journal, I like to do a quote page, and I normally hand letter that one. And I'll use my physical supplies to do that. Normally, I do Procreate hand-lettered pages, but for a new bullet journal setup, I always like to do it by hand just to make it special and keep practicing those skills. Now, as you can see, in order to match my setup to the tools I was using, I thought it would be fun to draw the flowers in and color the flowers in with the acrylographs. So that way I was still on theme with the washi, but I wasn't limited to the stickers that were part of the sub box. Now my layout's almost finished, but I thought I would talk about how I use my future log. A future log is a place where you can capture your events that are coming up in the future. So I set up my months, January through December, and underneath, there's some space underneath, and you'll see I'm going to highlight alternate lines. But in the space underneath, you write down important events or dates for that month, and that way you have somewhere to capture what's coming in the future. So I'm super excited. I actually have quite a bit to put down, so that'll be fun. But that's basically the use of a future log, and that is how I use my future log. Nothing special, nothing unique. Just as I mentioned earlier, it's a great way to get over my mental block for starting a new bullet journal is to just set up the future log, and then of course the actual use of it throughout the year as well. So while a future log is a staple in every new bullet journal setup that I do, the pages that follow tend to change depending on what I'm hoping to, use my bullet journal for the rest of the year, or at least the first 6 months of the year. So before I set up my new bullet journal, I actually paged through my older journals to see which layouts I used, how I used them, if it's something that I want to use going into the new year. And I'm not the greatest at using the first few pages in my bullet journal consistently throughout the year. So you'll see I have my word of the year. I do a layout for my word of the year later in this video, but based on my word of the year, I wanted to make sure I was going to use something that I was actually going to use. And my last bullet journal setup, I created a page to capture my mini goals. Now, I have a goal planner, but I wanted to capture those goals, or at least an overview of those goals in my main planner. I don't always have my goal planner near me or on my desk at all times, but I always have my bullet journal. I want to be able to capture those mini goals and have them there ready to go, especially as I progress through the action steps and what I want to accomplish. Okay, so let's get into what this looks like. Now, I have my big picture main goals, which are in my goal planner. And from those main goals, I have mini goals. And those mini goals each have action steps. And then, of course, those mini goals themselves are action steps into the larger goal. But for this layout, this is where I plan on capturing the mini goals I hope to focus on for the next 6 months. I only made space for 4 mini goals. Now, this might be too many, this might not be enough, and that's fine, but I figure 4 is enough to work on for 6 months. And then under each or next to each number is where I'm capturing what the mini goal is. I have a progress bar to fill in how far I am along in that goal. And I've put notches at 25, 50, 75%. And then of course the whole bar is 100%. And then I have a space for action steps. So those action steps are what I need to do, obviously, to accomplish that mini goal. And then once that mini goal is complete, in theory, I'm one step closer to my big goal. I hope that makes sense and I didn't over explain it or overcomplicate it, but it does make sense more in combination with my goal planner. I can put a video together showing how I use the two in tandem. And so let me know down below if that is something you'd like to see, how I'm capturing my goals. From a decorative standpoint, I added some washi and I will be adding in or drawing in some flowers to match the overall theme. And yeah, overall, I'm super excited to use this layout. Like I said, I created this layout in my last bullet journal setup, my mid-2025 setup. And so I'm excited to bring it back and actually use it properly and thoroughly and more consistently than I did the last 6 months. Going back to the design aspect of my setup, I do want to say I'm a pencil first person. So you'll see me sketching out my florals in a pencil, but a lot of the times I'm doing that before I'm filming. But I do want to share my process completely, and that is using pencil to set everything up. I'll even do rough sketches of the setup that I'm doing. So for example, the boxes is part of my mini goals, and then I will go in and add pen after the fact. I even do sketches when I'm using Procreate on my iPad. I'll sketch with a pencil brush and then I'll go in and add the monoline brush details to finish off the piece. Once I'm happy with the sketch design, I'll go in and add color. In this case, I'm using my acrylographs to add color. I matched acrylograph colors that I already had to the duotone markers that were part of the subscription box. The duotone markers in the sub box, they're actually a dot marker, so very similar to the zig dot markers. And then they have a fine liner on the other side. So it didn't really make sense to use those to color in, or at least it was going to take me longer than just using my acrylographs. So that's why I went with my acrylographs. In the past, I've done a series comparing different brush pen types to each other. So for example, Tombow, Calligraphs, Pentel, Sign brush pens. And I'm hoping to do a comparison in 2026 to all the different acrylic markers that I've found. I have some reviews of other acrylic markers in the meantime that I'm hoping to do a comprehensive overview of what I've found. And I'm actually quite excited because I've found acrylic markers from the dollar store as well. So I'm hoping to do a review of those and then you can see what will work for you. And hopefully you can get into the world of acrylic markers that are affordable. Once my acrylograph paint is dry, I go in with my Tom Studio pen and I just go in and add details in my style. I'm actually really excited. After years and years and years of trying different styles and figuring out what I like and why I like it, I think I finally settled on my style and I've been having a lot of fun creating using that style. A lot of the hand-lettered cover pages that I've made over the last month or two has incorporated that style. So I'll share more on my Instagram and you can go check that out if you want, but you'll also see more of my cover pages as I'm doing my bullet journal setups. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to explore more of that in 2026 as well. Now I'm on to my next layout. And before I get into it, I just want to talk quickly. This is the craft knife that was included in the sub box. It is currently available as part of the Everyday collection, with Archer and Olive, and I love it so much. I've been asking for a craft knife like this from Archer and Olive for years, and so it's finally here, and I'm so excited. But I'm using my craft knife to cut little doors or windows, whatever you want to call it, into the page. And this layout is possibly the one that haunts me the most. So also a very controversial thing, or one of the more controversial things you're going to hear me say, is about 2-3 years ago, I got caught up in the cult of courses. So when everybody was putting out a course and everybody was doing a course on everything, I got carried away and I registered for a metric trash ton of different courses. Have I done these courses? Some of them, yes. A lot of them, no. And for a few years now, I always create a layout to capture the courses with the intention of actually doing them. So one of my goals for 2026 is to finish some of these courses. I haven't put a number on it yet, but I will. And I just need to get through them. So part of the reason why it's taking me so long is because I want to spend time and actually learn and absorb what I'm watching. But this obviously can't always be the case. I can't always sit down and watch it and give it my full attention. So more realistically, having it on in the background is going to work better for me. But then again, how much am I absorbing if I'm doing that? But so I still have to come up with a strategy on how I'm going to get through these courses, but I paid for them. I paid for them for a reason. And so I want to do them. And don't get me wrong, there are definitely quality issues, like some are higher quality than others. So I'll definitely be starting with the courses I consider to be of higher quality. The other kick in the pants is, since I registered for these courses 2-3 years ago, my skills in the meantime have probably surpassed where I was when I first got that course, just through trial and error and just getting things done. So that'll be interesting to see. And maybe that'll also help speed up going through these courses, since I will have, or at least there will be more that I know, and then I can just listen for little tidbits that I've never really thought of, or something that I can incorporate and can make a difference in my art. So this page has the little Dutch door windows all over the place. And so there's 9 of them. Am I going to get through 9 courses in the next 6 months? Probably not. But I just, like I said, I paid money for these things. I really do want to at least see what value there is in them. So I digress. I'm going down the rabbit hole again. But the idea here is, under the flap, I'm going to put a QR code that's going to link directly to the website. So on my phone, I'm just going to be able to scan it and be able to go to that website directly, so that I have immediate access to it. So I'm not having to look for it or put in a code or a web address or look for the email or whatever the case may be. So that way I'm able to access it right away. There's less barriers to actually access the course in theory. So on the outside of the flap, I'm putting the title, and I wanted to incorporate more color onto this page since I won't have space for the florals. So I'm using the fine liner part of the duotone markers, and I'm just drawing squares using my ruler, and that's where I'm going to write the title of the course. Underneath the title, or underneath the flap, I stamped the word done and put a checkbox, and that's pretty self-explanatory. Once I'm done the course, I can hopefully just tick it off and go on with my life. I did want to put a quote saying, "Be open to learn, unlearn, and relearn." And I thought this quote was very appropriate, especially because I said my skills have come a long way since I first purchased these courses. But there may be something there that, like I said, I've never considered, or something that's going to help take my art to the next level. So I'm going to stay open-minded when taking these courses. Like I said, there are a lot of courses that I do consider to have value and be of a high quality. So those are going to be the ones that I will focus on first. If you want to know what those courses are, maybe I can do a review of this page as I've gone through the courses, and I can talk about what I liked, what I didn't like, who I liked learning from. So we'll see. But I was definitely caught up in the cult of courses. For a while there, it was pretty, I don't want to say toxic, but it was pretty bad, where everybody was putting out a course, and that's fine. But I found that the courses were getting more expensive, but the content was the same. And if anything, a lot of the teachers were taking a step back from being more hands-on. So I And if I'm honest, I'm thinking about two creators specifically that did these courses. I did buy the one creator's course eventually. So that is one of the ones I want to finish, but I didn't fall for the other one. It just seemed, it just got more expensive and the content stayed the same, but the interaction, the creator's interaction with the people purchasing the course had taken a step back. And so, I don't know, it just gave me the ick. So I decided that was enough, and I have not paid for a course in the last year. So I think I'm very proud of myself. I didn't do any courses, but I also didn't purchase any. So, glass is half full. We're good. So inside the flap, I added paid and then a rating. So I wanted to make sure that I got through the paid courses first before I did the free courses or the little freebies that I maybe signed up for along the way. And so that's what that paid thing is about. It's just so that I know I'm focusing on things I actually spent money on. I finish off the inside flap with a rating and 5 stars that I'll color in based on how I found the course to be. I also wanted to touch on how I got myself into this situation, and honestly, lack of confidence and self-doubt. Pretty much how cults get you in general. I didn't feel like my skills were good enough. And so I thought the more courses I take, the more I will learn, the better I will get. But the truth is, it's not learning necessarily, or it's not somebody telling you how to do it, but just doing it yourself and learning through practice and experience. And I can't say enough about that. I hate the concept of, oh, you just have to practice. It's like, great, okay, but I really want to be good at it now. But obviously that's not how it works. And maybe, yes, it did take 2 years to get to where I am, or to get a small part of what I do to where I am today. But it was more valuable actually doing it versus being told how to do it. Now, something similar but different. If you know me in real life, you know that I am absolutely immature and childish. And so while I was editing the video, I've been killing myself laughing because this page, I labeled it subs and then I put the name and the cost. And I swear this is not a Dom sub situation. It's relating to my subscriptions. So subscriptions that I pay for. And the reason why they're similar to the courses is because they're creators that have platforms where they have communities and you pay for access to that community. So I want to keep track of that to see what I'm using, see how much I'm using it. So I even create a little tracker down the bottom to track how often I'm using those platforms. I will be color coding the different subscriptions so that I just do a dot for if I use that platform in that month for that year. And I think I did 6 months. Yeah, January, February, March, April, May, and June, and then see what I'm using. So I have the name of the subscription, the cost, and then I have when it will be renewing. So that's just going to be like January or October or whatever month it renews. And I'm still laughing because I can't unsee the subs with the name and the cost. And my brain is just a child right now. So I'm sorry if you can't unsee that too, but it's pretty funny. And also I'm putting the mat down on the left-hand side of the page so that my hand doesn't accidentally bend the flaps for the courses. And hopefully that'll be the last time I say courses in this video, because if you were playing a drinking game, you would probably be completely hammered because I said courses quite a bit. Decoration-wise, I'm adding a little bit of flowers here and there. And then, of course, I use the same stamps throughout so that it still ties in with the overall theme, and adding in my borders. And then showing a close-up of how I'm outlining and adding my own style to the flowers, even though I copied the flower design from the washi and the overall aesthetic of the subscription box. The next couple of pages, I will be setting up my word of the year. And now brace yourself for it. But one of the courses I purchased was Ali Edwards' One Little Word, I believe it's called. And newsflash, I did not finish it. I started it once, but I never really finished it. So this year, with my word of the year, I'm going to be very intentional and already have bits and pieces of this page set up and ready to go. So you'll see that as I'm creating that. And I don't know, on the one hand, it feels a little bit cheesy or overplayed, but my word of the year for 2026 is intention. That word kept coming up in a lot of what I've been doing, and both for myself and for work. And being busy, I don't have a lot of time, and I really want to be more intentional with my time and how I spend that time. It's so easy to get caught up in doom scrolling or playing silly little app games, so that I want to make sure I'm using my time efficiently. I've been watching a creator on TikTok talk about what it means to recover from burnout. And she has some interesting theories and ideas. And one of it was figuring out what burnout recovery looks like to you. So does scrolling on TikTok mindlessly or on Reels or Shorts mindlessly really help my burnout recovery? Probably not. And so using my time intentionally to recover and make sure that I'm not reaching a point of burnout where I become like catatonic with overwhelm. So yeah, I decided to choose the word intention. And as I'm going through the setup, I do think I'm going to do another video where I'm actually writing in bits and pieces so that it's an actual plan with me versus a bullet journal setup, so that you can see how I'm using it and what my thought process is behind what I'm doing. So for this layout, I have intention stamped out as my word of the year. I'm going to be adding the definition, a quote that is meaningful to me that includes the word intention maybe, or is attention adjacent. And then my why, so why I chose the word, and then my word in pictures. So I did outline 3 squares, and my idea is to include pictures where I'm living or acting intentionally, and then a little bit of journaling space around that. So we'll see how this layout goes. In the past, when I've done word of the year layouts, I just stamped the word in the middle and kind of ignored it for the rest of the year. And my intention was always to do the Ali Edwards One Little Word course. And when I was setting this up, I actually went in and I looked at the course and I just pulled out pieces that I think would work better for me. Some of it was a little bit cheesy for me and not something I would really be interested in doing. Maybe I will be adding one little word to my course list. And then maybe that is something I work on, because pushing yourself out of your comfort zone is important, especially if it aligns with your goals. And so being more intentional and living more intentionally is part of my goals. And so that course would tie into that. Decoration wise, I decided to add some washi, and I actually used one of the washi stickers from the sticker kit. But when I did my border, my little border around the sticker, the washi is coated, so the paint was lifting up. And so I just used clear tape to tape over it so that it didn't smudge and I could carry on and finish the setup. And just to be clear, I didn't mean to sound all self-righteous. I'm not in burnout recovery all the time. I'm definitely going to mindlessly scroll TikTok and social media because it's fun and there's fun stuff and funny stuff. But it's just 2025 was basically the year of burnout for me. And I want to make sure in 2026, I'm not going to be in that same situation. And I'm talking burnout across facets of life. So personal, professional, parental, you name it, I was burnt out. So just making sure that I don't get to that point where I don't know what to do anymore or I can't bounce back. And then also to actually have a toolkit of burnout recovery ideas that I can incorporate. So I definitely think that is something I will create in my wellness journal, because I'm hoping to bring my wellness journal back into 2026 as well. I'll be honest with you, I've already been thrown for a loop for 2026. There was a plan and a strategy in place that I was not going to be under so much pressure and stress. And then December 28th was the day that fell apart. And now doing this voiceover, I'm finishing it up December 31st. I've been terrible with my videos, but finishing it up December 31st. I've already spoken to some people to activate plan F or G, or I don't even know. Like plan A was long ago, plan B was a joke, plan C, whatever. So whatever letter of the alphabet plan we're on now, that is what I'm doing. So I'm feeling good about 2026 again, and hopefully I can work on some strategies and carve out time to make sure I'm not going to burn out as badly as I did over the last few months. Next up, we have a quotes and notes page. So my quotes page, just quotes that stand out to me that I want to remember. And then notes is just to grab whatever notes I need, whether that's inspiration for my next bullet journal setup or theme ideas throughout the 6 months of this bullet journal, whatever I need that space for, it's going to be there. So I'm excited about that. Or, we have a couple trips that we have coming up in the first 6 months of the year. So maybe that's even a space where I can write down those dates and those plans as they come closer. So this stamp set that I'm using for my quotes page, I don't even know how old these stamps are. They are basically from the dawn of my stamping time. So at least 10, 13 years old. And so they were a little sticky coming off the backing. So when you find that, just gently roll the stamp off of the plastic so that you're not warping and bending the stamp and it's still usable. So those stamps aren't bad considering they're 13 years old and barely used. So yay, go stamps. Now I'm adding in the labels on my tab, and I have a little fan that I use to try and dry the paint quicker. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's mostly when I make a mistake and have to cover it up and then want the cover layer to dry quicker, I'll bring out my fan to use it. But overall, I think I really enjoy how this turned out. I had fun coordinating this notebook to the subscription box. It was my first time ever doing this or feeling inspired to do this with a subscription box. So really happy with how it turned out. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have any questions or comments or want some clarification, just let me know down below and we can talk about it. And so, happy 2026. And I hope you're able to get what you need out of this coming year. Thank you so much for watching today, and I'll see you in the next one. For more bullet journal content, make sure to check out one of these 2 videos. I'll see you over there.